Okay, in the previous sessions, we learned about buttons. In that buttons, you'll be having two types, that is rise button and flag buttons. So in the previous sessions, we learned about how to use rise button, how to use text and icon, and only icon buttons and all. So in today's, we learn about one of the topic in rise button and flag buttons. Okay, and how to input controls of making choices. Okay, first, changing the style and appearance of a rise button. So if you use a rise button, so how to change the background and style and appearances. So, if you want to change the background, we need to use the Android background attribute with the color, which is will be there in the drawable resource folder. So if you want to add your own color, so you can create your own drawable resource file in the resource folder. You will be having a drawable folder. In that drawable folder, if you click right click and if you select new, there will be a option called new drawable file. So if you click on that, you can create a separate file and create your own background color over there. Okay, so to ensure all devices that you can run holo theme, you will be, if you want to use any holo theme for your buttons, then you can use an attribute Android theme. So within that, so there will be a default, some of the themes will be there, so default themes you can use. Okay, so why you will be using a theme or a background color properly means, so the appearance, whatever the button you have been created, the appearance of the button, whether it will be background color or a font, so it may vary from device to another device. Okay, because it is different from the manufacturers, the device will be manufactured from different manufacturers. Okay, so each manufacturers oftenly they will be having a default, some of the different default styles of our input colors. Why? Because Android OS is an open source, they may change whatever they are required. Okay, so you can control explicitly of your buttons and other input controls. Okay, so by using the themes, so as I said, so it's better if you use a default. Okay, so after adding all the themes and background, so the app will be displayed using the theme, whatever the theme you have been used, or whatever the background will be used. That buttons based on that it will be displayed. So whatever the apps you will be apps designed for Android versions 4.0 and higher versions. Okay, they can use, all these versions can use device default public theme. Okay, there is a public theme family. For that we say it as a device default. Okay, so the device default themes are alias for the native look. So if you use this device default theme, so it will be looks the device with the native look and feel, it will be there. Okay, so when you use device default theme, okay, whatever the device default theme will be there, from that if you use any family or a widget style family, so the developer should be able to target the native device natives theme, which customizes the syntax. So by using this device default theme, so that whatever the developers will be using this particular theme, it should be targeting with the native devices. Okay. So if for Android apps running over 4.0 and newer, you have the following options. You may be considering this for following options. So we should use a theme. Okay, so like holo themes are the dark themes, whichever it is required. So that if you used it, whatever the app will be there, that exact same look for all devices which is running 4 or 4.0 or newer versions. Okay, so the one thing we can follow this, and we should use one of the device default themes also. Okay, one of the default themes, so that apps takes on the look of device default skin. Okay, so different manufacturers will be having a different input controls. Okay, input controls will be used. So when we are developing an application, if we use a device default themes, it will be whatever the skin of a particular device, it will look good. Okay, so don't use theme means, so you may have unpredictable results on some devices. Okay, so there is no rule that you should not use your own theme. Okay, so better you use default theme, you can use your own theme. So in some cases what happens, it may result in an unpredictable results in some other device. So if you launch that application if you have that your own button or a theme, okay, it may result in some other way. So that's why it's a there is no rule or there is some nothing like that. You can use your own theme, but make sure that it should be properly visible to all other devices also. Okay. So next is flat buttons. How to design a flat buttons. So a flat button is also known as a borderless button. Okay. So flat button is also known as a borderless button. Is a text only button. So remember, the flat buttons are only for text only buttons where that appears flat on the screen without any shadow. So if you use raised buttons or the default buttons, there will be a shadow and there will be a border for that button. So if you use flat buttons, there is no border for that particular button, and you have only the text. There is no icon at all. So the flat button appears on the screen without any shadow. So if you use raised button, there will be a slight shadow will be there, or it may not be. But here there is no shadow at all. Okay. So flash buttons are useful when you have a dialogue. Okay. See, for example, see, this is the example. So this is the button. So there is no shadow. There is no border right here. Okay, this is the button. See, for example, if you consider anything you have been installed on your app, so if you want to agree, okay, then there will be no border. Okay, so that this type in these situations we are going to use a flat button. So flat buttons so flat buttons resembles basic buttons except that they have no borders or a background, but still change the appearance during its different states. Okay, as I said, the flat buttons will not be having any border or a background, but when you when the particular buttons appears changes appearance, the appearance will get changes at different states. The different states are normal state, disabled state, and press states. So as it is, if when you have designed the flat button in the normal, this is the normal state. Okay, that is a normal state. The button looks just an ordinary button. So when the button is disabled, it will be looking like this. Means it will be a grayed out, which means the particular button is in not active state. Okay, so this is a pressed state. So this is the pressed state. Okay, the when the button reaches the pressed state, it will be having a background shadow. Okay, so with a background shadow. So this what this indicates? So indicates that the button is being touched or clicked. So if the background appears, the background shadow appears, it means that the particular button has been touched or clicked. Okay, what happens when it is clicked? So when you attach, so when you are designing this button, you can attach a callback. Okay, callback to that button. Okay, you can do a callback to that button. Where if you want to have a callback to that button, we should use an attribute on click attribute. Okay, so for if you have using the on click attribute, then you should callback is called. Okay, when the particular button is in this particular state. Okay, so you should have a callback method. So how to create this flag button? So if you want to create the flag button, use the button class. Okay, this is the button. Use the button class. So add button to your XML layout and apply this as a style attribute. Okay, apply this as a style attribute. As a style is equals to whatever the value you want to give, you can give. So designing images as a buttons. Okay, so how to some of the as we seen in some of the applications, there will be a button where it is an images. If you click on the images, it will go for some other activity or whether it performs some particular actions to be performed. So how to design this images as a buttons? Okay, so you can turn any view such as image view. So when you are using an image as a button, then we can go for an image view. Okay, then you can go for image view. So this particular view, any view such as an image view, into a button by adding on-click attribute in the XML layout. So you should use an on-click attribute. Okay. Where if you are using an image view, the image for the particular image view must already be should be stored in drawable folder of your project. So whatever the project you have been created in your project, if you are using an image view as a button, then for the image view, there should be an image where it should be image. The image should be in the drawable folder. So the image already should be present in the drawable folder. So how you will be uh, how you should store that image in the drawable folder. So whatever the image you want, you can just copy and paste it over in the drawable folder. Okay. So the drawable folder in the app SRC folder, within the main folder, there will be a resource folder. Within the resource folder, there will be a drawable folder. Okay. So if you are using multiple images as buttons, arrange them view group so that they are grouped together. See, if you are using only one image as a button, then it's fine. So if you are using multiple images as a button, so you should arrange it proper. So how you are going to arrange? So make the all the images as a view group. Okay. As you see in this example, there is a linear layout. So within that, there is a three image. So within that linear layout, the orientation has been used horizontally. That's why it looks in an horizontal. Okay. How to design a floating action button? Okay, so floating action button is a circular button that appears to float the layout. Okay, so for example, uh, you have seen in your context, if you want to create a new context, so some of the applications may look like this, right? So this is a floating button, floating action button. So one more example is when you in your email there is a button to create a email. So compose email. So there is button like that, compose email. So likewise, there will be a floating buttons, floating action buttons. Will you can create it whenever it is required for your particular applications. So these floating buttons, this floating action button only represents a primary action of the screen. Okay, primary action of a screen. So for this floating button is as per the requirement. You can use it. Okay. So, and one thing we need to remember here is only one floating action button is recommended per screen. Okay. Only one floating action button is recommended per screen. So to use a floating action button in the Android Studio project, you must add the following statement to your build Gradle. So in the dependency section, build Gradle, that is module app. In this section, you need in this file there is a section called dependency section. So within that dependency, we need to add this statement. That is compile form.android.support design the version. So this is the version number. Okay. So if you have a newer version, just change the version number. To create if you want to create a floating action button, so what we need to use, we need to use a class called floating action button class. So where this particular class extends image button class. Okay, so when you are creating a floating action button, we need to use a floating action button class. So where this particular floating action button class will be which extends this class is going to extend the class image button. So how you will be adding this floating action button? So we can add a floating action button to your XML layout as follows: Android support design. So widget floating action button. So this is the thing. So SRC will be the what image you are going to add for this particular button. So floating action buttons. So by default, the floating action buttons will be in the size of 56 into 56 GB. Okay, so it is best to use this particular default size. Okay, so unless if you want the smaller versions to create, then you can change this default size. So if you want to change it to this, so you can set the mini size. Okay, 30 into 40 dp. So how you are going to change, there is an attribute called fab size. So if you use fab size, fab size to mini, so it means 30 into 40 dp. So if you want to set back to the normal, so if you want the particular floating action button to the normal size, then you use the attribute fab size and give the value as a normal. how it responds to the button click and adding on click to the layout element. So in the previous sessions, we have seen about this on click event and all. It's the same similar to that only. So in buttons, how we are going to do. So if you use an event listener. Okay. So which event listener you need to use? Like on click listener we need to use, where this on click listener is an interface, where this interface will be a view class. Okay. So what does it will do? It will respond this listener. What happens if you use this listen on click listener? So it responds to the click event that occurs when the user taps or clicks a clickable object. It means that so when a user taps to the object, or if any clickable object is present on your application, so if you click on that, so it will respond to that event. What the event has been occurred, it responds to a particular click. So the clickable object means there may be a button, image button, or floating action button. So different types of clickable objects. So how to this is how it will respond to the button clicks when you click on the button. So how to add on click to the layout element. So to set up on click listener for the clickable object. So I have said that it will respond like this and also how you are going to use them. So on click listener you need to set up an on click listener for the clickable object. So in our activity code, so assign a callback method. So if whatever the user clicks on that particular clickable object, what it should be performed. So if you want to perform some actions, you need to use callback method. So if you want to use callback method, in the XML layout file, you should be using on-click attribute. So for whatever the value have been given on the on-click attribute, for that value, we will be creating a callback method. So this is how we will be using. If you have a button, you will be using an on-click attribute with the value. So whatever here, whatever the value you have been given for this, we will be creating a callback method. So how it will be a callback method? So for this particular button, the callback method will be public void send message. We are passing an arguments view. Okay, within that we can write whatever the functions to need to perform that particular button. If you click on that button, we will be writing over the code. So whatever the method I have said, so that method must be public. It should return void. So I'm defining a view as it only a parameter. So the parameter will be the view. So next is using the button listener design pattern. Okay, so as I said, so whatever we can handle the click events programmatically. So as I said, if we click, it performs some action. So where if you we can handle this click programmatically using button listener design pattern. Okay, button listener design pattern. So use this event. So we need to use the event listener. The event listener is view dot on click listener. Okay, so there is an event listener called view dot on click listener. Okay, view dot on click listener, where this view dot on click listener is an interface, where interface of the view class, where it contains a single callback method. This particular interface contains only a single callback method, that is on click method. Okay, that is on click callback method. So the method is called by the Android framework when you trigger a user interaction. So when the user interacts with that particular button, if you click on that, this on click callback method will be triggered, and the Android framework will call that particular on click callback method, where this on click callback method is a single callback method in the interface view dot on click listen. Okay, the event listener must already be registered to view in order to be called for that event. Okay, so if you want to call that particular event listener, must also be registered. So if you want to perform these actions, we need to follow some steps. If you want to register, this event listener, we need to follow these steps to register the listener and to use it. How to use it? You will be having an XML file where you design this. Whatever the view will be there, you are going to find that particular view by using a method find view by ID. Okay, that's the first step you need to follow. Find view by ID method of the view class, where this particular find view by ID method will be in the view class, where this find view by ID is used to find the button in the XML layout file. Remember, find view by ID is used to find the button in the XML layout file. So how you are going to use that? So this is how you are going to find button is it button. So you're creating an object button is equals to find view by ID or dot ID dot button underscore. So whatever the how to find that particular button through the ID, whatever the name text or name for that button we have been given. Okay. Second step. So you need to get a new view dot on click listener object. First, we need to get an object from the view dot on click listener, and after getting that object, we need to register it to the button. So we need to register that object to the button. How you are going to register to that button? By calling set on click listener. So by calling set on click listener method. So whatever the argument that takes an object that implements the view dot on click listener interface, where this particular interface will be having only one method, that is on click method. That is on click method. So how we are going to set object, use the object and listener. So button dot set on click listener new this method view dot on click listener. So with inside this need to have a function. It is about second step. So then where this particular view dot on click listener is having only one callback method, that is on click method, we need to define that on click method, where this particular method will be public, where this method should return void, and it has only parameter, that is view. How you are going to define override that particular method? So this is the method. So public void on click with an or parameter view. So here within this do in response to the button click. It means that when you click that button, what action to be performed. So that particular code we will be writing here. So then fourth step is my method. So it means that create a method to do something in response to the button click, such as a perform an action. If you want to perform an action on your own, if you want to do any response to the whatever the button has been clicked, we can write our own method. So the fourth step you need to follow when you are going to register the event listen. So using event listener interface for other events. So there are some other events. So if you want to perform any other than this on click, so there are some of the methods where you can handle this. So here other events can occur in UI elements. There is not only the on click only. So many events can occur other. Okay, with the UI elements. For that we can use a callback methods already defined in the event listener interfaces to handle them. So other than on click event, there may be other events can also be occur in the UI element. So if you want to you define that some of the callback methods were already be defined in the event listener interface. Okay, so event listener interface. So whatever the event occurs, so that that particular methods will be called. So all the methods are called by the Android framework. So when it will be called, when it is triggered by the user interactions. Okay, when it is particular event is triggered from the user interactions, the Android framework will call those particular methods. the following some of the listeners available in the Android framework and callback methods associated with each. The first one, on click. So that the on click method is from the view dot on click listener, where this particular method will is going to handle a click event. When you click event, it means that when a user touches and then releases an area of the device. So button means in your screen or is an area. So within that area, the button will be there in any of that particular device display area. So if you click on that particular button in that area, and if you release that, this particular event and occurs, and it's going to this method is going to handle that particular event. So where this particular on-click callback has no return value. Okay, it has no return value. So next is on long click, where this particular method is from the view dot on long click listener interface. Okay, so it handles an event when user maintains a touch overview for extended period. It means that, see, if you continuously keep pressing that particular button or anything, so for that, what should happen? See, for example, if you are playing a PUBG game, so if you want to shoot continuously, you will keep continuously pressing long click on that particular button. It will go. It will perform action. So for in these type of situations, we can use on long click, where this on long click button will be present in the interface view dot on long click listen. The next is on touch, where this particular method will be is from the view dot on touch listener interface. So it means that you have a screen. Okay, so if you touch on that screen, it should perform some action. So if you click multiple touches, if you perform multiple touches, and if you have a gesture motions, okay, so like including press, release, or any movement gestures on the scene. So in these scenarios, this on touch method can be used. So here there is an motion event is passed as an argument. So in this method, a motion event is passed as an argument. Okay, where this it includes the directional information. Okay, it includes directional information. So next is on focus change. So next is on focus change, where it is from the view dot on focus change listener. Okay, so it handles when focus moves away from current view as a result of with the trackball or navigation. So if you are using any trackball or a navigation key, okay, so if you have a motion focus on a particular moves, whether you go by a left or a right or a wherever you move, in these type scenarios we can use on focus change method. So next is on key. Next is on key, where it is from the view dot on key listener interface. So it is this method is going to be handled when a key on a hardware device is pressed while a view has a focus. When you press key on an hardware device, so what it should be performed. The next topic is using input controls for making choices. Okay, so Android will having a ready-made input control system elements where the user can select one or more choices. So for that, you will be having checkbox, radio buttons, toggle button, and spinner. So we can see all these things one by one. So what this checkbox will do? Select one or more values. Okay, as per the user requirement. Radio buttons, only one value from the set of values. Okay. If you have a set of values, we can select only one values if you use a radio button. So next is toggle buttons. So it means it switches the states. One state out of two or more states. Okay, likewise on, off, something like that. Okay, so spinner. Now spinner means select one value from set of values in a drop down. So if you have a drop down value or drop down menu, so within the drop down menu, you will be selecting only one. For example, if you want to select your country, so if you click, if you want to enter, so you will be having a drop down button with the list of all the countries. So whichever the country it belongs, we will select India. So like that's the spinner. Let's see about checkbox. So So when you are going to use this checkbox, so checkbox will be having a list of options. Okay, checkbox will be having a list of boxes. When you want have a list of boxes, we can use a checkbox where from that list of options the user may select any number of choices. Okay, the user may select any number of choices. So where each checkbox is independent of other checkboxes in the list, where each checkbox is independent of other checkboxes in the list. So checking one box doesn't check the another box. It means that if you click on that one particular checkbox, if you click on second checkbox, the first checkbox will not be unchecked. It will be also checked. So users expect checkboxes to appear in vertical list, like to-do list or side by side horizontally. As per the requirement, we can have a checkbox and vertically or a horizontal way. Okay. So each checkbox is separate instance of checkbox class. So there is a checkbox class, whatever the checkbox you will be using in your XML layout. So each will be having a separate instance. Okay. So we create each checkbox using checkbox element in your XML layout. This is how we use a checkbox. So to create a multiple checkbox in vertical orientation. So if you want to create uh, this type of checkboxes, how to use it? So use a linear layout where the orientation is vertical. So three checkboxes are there where with the text, whatever the text we want, we can use. So if you use this code, the checkbox will look like this. So as I said, we can create a multiple. So what happens if we text, right? So the program retrieves the state of checkbox when a user touches or clicks the submit done button. See, for example, you have a form, you have selected some of three or four checkboxes. So there is a button where you submit and it should get stored. Okay, it should retrieve that. So for that, what happens if you do? So for that, if you want to perform, you will be having one button where uses on click attribute, that is a callback method, that is on submit. Okay, so this is a, but if you assume this is a button, so as I said, in the linear layout you have these check boxes and there is a button like this where whatever the you have been checked with these boxes, so it should submit that, right? So for that we will be having a button where with the attribute on click and a callback method on submit. So where this callback method should be public and it should return void and it should have a parameter with the view. Okay. So in this method, we can determine if checkbox is selected using isCheck method. Okay. So we need to determine which are all the checkboxes has been selected. So if we want to determine that which are all the checkboxes has been selected, we need to use the method isCheck. Okay. We need to use the method isCheck. For example, the following statement assigns the Boolean value true or false, checking dependencies. So if you have checked that particular button, that is Boolean value will be true. If you uncheck it, if you have not selected particular checkbox, the Boolean value will be false. How to check that? You need to use a statement Boolean check checkbox of view is checked method. Okay, this is a simple way. So how you need to use this in a method? So this is how you're going to check the depending to the checkbox has been checked or not. So as I said, in that particular method, when you send the button with all the checkbox values, you will be using a callback method. So within that callback method, how you are going to use? This is the following code snippet. Okay. So this is on submit method, string buffer, the value object. Okay. So new string buffer append. We need to append the whatever the value has been checked. So how to when you appending that, we need to check whether the particular checkbox has been checked or not. Okay. So if the checkbox find view by ID, okay, is checked. See, in this statement, what we are doing, we are getting that checkbox and also finding the checkbox and also determining whether that particular is checked or not. So this particular statement says in this particular, let's see here, this particular statement, it is finding the checkbox. As soon as it finds that particular checkbox, it checks for whether that particular checkbox is being checked or not. So if it is checked, we need to append that value to the topics, that is string of. Okay, this is how it. uh, Thank you.